Ooh, welcome to Ole Walls house. It's me. It's your man. It's your main man. It's Ole Walls. And I'm back with you. Episode 206 coming your way. Got a lot of things to discuss today. Big show coming. Not always the most fun topics. Green Bay Packers hit a bump in the road. John Cena retires. Lots of other things. College basketball, college football playoff coming up. Flyers, a lot of good stuff coming. My passing thoughts, all fun stuff coming. Well, maybe not all fun, but a lot of stuff coming. Before we get there, I just want to start off by saying thank you to everybody. Appreciate the support, appreciate the watches, appreciate the listens. So thank you. If you're looking for some merch, some Ole Walls house merch, like this here hat I'm wearing, you can find that in the link in the show notes. Also on that site would be some Full Range Pod merch. You can find my guy MJ at the Full Range Pod on Spotify at the Full Range Pod or on the Ole Walls House YouTube channel. And as always, if you guys could like, review, comment, rate, subscribe, and share, let everybody know Ole Walls House is the place to be. And without any further ado, let's get into it. All right, let's talk some NFL and my Green Bay Packers. One of the things I dislike about doing the podcast, it's one of the few things I dislike, is naming the podcast every week. This week was easy. It's Disaster in Denver. That's the name of the podcast app this week. I'll probably put something else on the end of it. But as I was watching the slow motion car wreck that was the second half of Packers Broncos, it was like, oh my gosh, this is a disaster in what is happening right now. The Packers season, maybe literally, probably figuratively, just went crumbling into dust. It didn't turn out as bad as it could have been, but it was a pretty bad stretch. And we'll go back to the start of the game here, because the Packers come out and really dominate on two drives to start the game, but are left with, after Denver scores their first time in the middle of the second quarter, all of a sudden they're down 7-6 after having dominated on two drives. Love was slinging it. They were using Jacobs cautiously, but it's like, man, this is really, they're really playing well. They find Jacobs to go back up 12 or 13-7. They end up getting a field goal to close the half out. And it's like, they dominated the first half, and there was a little problem where, like, they were getting down and weren't capitalizing with touchdowns. It was ending in field goals, and then even get one at the end of the half, and it's just and then they come out in the second half, and a minute in, Josh Jacobs busts one for 40 after having caught a just terrific ball. Mike is ripping people up and to start the game and causing strips, and they go up 23-14, and they get the ball back. They're up 9. They've got the ball. The offense seems like it's clicking. The defense is playing solid. And then it's just like one thing after another. You backtrack a little bit. Zach Tom goes down and leaves the game on the Josh Jacobs touchdown catch back in the first half. But then after the Jacobs run, Packers get the ball back. Love goes deep to Watson. Gets picked off. Watson's hurt. He had his arm extended. I was thinking clavicle, collarbone, something like that. They keep saying chest injury. I've not seen anything other than he's possible to play this weekend, and it's a chest injury. Reportedly avoided major damage. That was I think this came out about noon. But it's like, oh man, he was just getting going. And then the Micah thing happens. And it's like, oh no. And I saw it, and I'm like, ACL. No, I tore my ACL in the similar movement. Mine was slightly less athletic than what Mike was doing. Just a wee bit. But I saw it, and I was like, ACL. Done. I mean, that's 9 months minimum. So you're lucky if he's back at the start of the year next year. Probably doesn't probably into the thing. It's like, here we go. Quay Walker also goes down at some point. Was it Bullard or was it Williams as well? And it's just like, oh no. And then there's just nothing there. The team can't do anything. The line can't block. They end up sacking Love like 3 or 4 times in that second half. I can probably find that quick. Sacks 3 times in the second half. The corners are getting pieced up. And it's like, this team that felt like it was coming together. LaFleur was getting aggressive offensively. The play calls down the stretch just felt... I was just sitting there in my chair. Been having such a good day watching football. Packers were playing. Jacobs busts that one out. It's like, we're gonna go beat the Broncos in Denver. A good football team. No, just all goes down. Loves playing a good game. And then Bo Nix has the game of his life. Bo Nix, 23 of 34, 302, 4 touchdowns. Just piecing up the secondary. It's like, it was right there. It was right there. And then just the injuries. It's like we already lost Kraft. We already lost Devontae Wyatt. Nobody on this team other than Rashawn Gary has like more than 4 sacks, and Gary hasn't had one in like 5 games. Debilitating. Just a debilitating, like, disaster. I mean, going from the 2 seed back down to the 7, going down to Chicago on Saturday. Short week to go down there and just what's going to happen? Felt like this team was right there. Maybe not Super Bowl like favorite, but like if the cards fell right, they played the right game, maybe got a break or two. There was something that maybe could have happened. They could have maybe went on a run, found something, found a way. Jordan Love's playing fantastic ball and played a great first half. But it was just once the Watson injury happened, it was like, the air just went out of the balloon. And then when the Micah Parsons injury happened, it's like whatever air was left got popped. The balloon got popped. If it was still able to be popped, or someone just ripped the balloon open, threw it to the ground, and stomped on it. And like I said, I just sat there. It was one of those moments when you watch sports and you just see the inevitability of what's about to happen. And it's not just the game, because you've all been there and you're like, there's no chance we're winning this game. Bounce back next week, get right, figure it out. You're looking forward now and you're like, shit, what's the rest of the year going to be like? There's 3 games left, and I don't know what the possible, hope this playoff picture thing is updated. Yeah, Packers down the 7th. I mean, they still have an 88% chance to make the playoffs. They've still got a tiebreaker with the Lions. I mean, if they just win one more game, they'll be in over them. I mean, you just beat the Bears, and I think that essentially clinches the division just about. That would make the Packers 10-4-1, the Bears 11-5. The Bears could still catch up and at least tie them, if not to overtake them. But it's just like, man, had just ripped off, 4 wins in a row. We're going for 5. I think I heard Love has never won 5 games in a row. Oh, it stinks. It stinks. Jaden Reed was back. Matthew Golden actually had a nice day. Had some catches. I think it was the leading receiver. No, Jaden Reed had 5 catches for 55 yards. But Matthew Golden, 3 catches for 55 yards. So not as many receptions, but as many yards. It's like, wasn't Tucker Kraft enough? Wasn't Devontae Wyatt enough? You need Watson. You need Micah Parsons. The Packers went out and made a move. They went out and made a move. They'd gotten Josh Jacobs the year before. They went out and made a move and got Micah Parsons, and this is how they're rewarded. It hurts, man. It hurts. And then, like I said, I was just sitting there. It's like, what happens now? What happens now? You go down to Chicago next week, or this coming week now. The following week, the Ravens come to town. And then it's the Vikings who just beat just J.J. McCarthy found something, it seems, against the Cowboys. Who knows? Some serious holes were shown in the secondary of Bo Nix just carving people up. Also, to be said, through all this, the Packers dropped about 2 to 3 interceptions. Xavier McKinney had one he should have come up with. There was another one that was pretty sure-handed. There was one that bounced off Lucas Vanessa's face mask. That was rough, man. That was rough. That was real rough. Real rough. Real rough. Let's spin around the rest of the league. I'll start on Sunday night because I watched like the first half. Vikings end up beating the Dallas Cowboys. JJ McCarthy, 15-24, 252 TDs, one interception on like the second throw of the game. Phil, Vikings saying, we're not going to make anything, but we're going out swinging. The Falcons, Thursday, beat the Buccaneers. Last second field goal, I believe, right? Yep, last second. I was trying to remember back. And it makes you think, hey, the Panthers got a chance to take over this division. Nah, they're going to lose to the Saints. They say we're going to get a late hit or whatever you want to call it, unsportsmanlike conduct hit as Suge slides and make that field goal just a bit easier. So down go the Panthers to the Saints. The Ravens beat up on the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow, 2 interceptions. Lamar Jackson only threw the ball 12 times. 24-0 win for the Ravens. Eagles, they get right against the Raiders. You heard a lot of that. Get right game for the Eagles. They got right. Raiders stink. They did what they needed to there. The Texans defense looks awesome. The Texans offense figured something out against the Cardinals. C.J. Stroud played a real nice game. 22 of 29, 260, 3 touchdowns. Nico Collins, 3 receptions, 2 of those for touchdowns. That's it. Trey McBride remains an animal. 12 receptions, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. I've got him on my fantasy team. I hope that didn't get wasted. I was on by the team I had him on. Hopefully he brings a little something for me next week as well. Chargers take down the Chiefs. The Chiefs are eliminated from the playoffs for the first time in like 10 years. Pat Mahomes has never played a game where the Chiefs were eliminated from or didn't have a chance to make the playoffs. He goes down with an ACL injury as well, so that streak will continue, but it won't be because that the Chiefs still have a chance. He just won't be on the field. So, again, same question for him as you have for Micah Parsons. Like, hey, 9 months is kind of, your better case scenario for an ACL injury and recovery and rehab and all that stuff. Where does that put the Chiefs next year? I mean, you look at 9 to 12. I mean, I would bet there's probably, some examples of people coming back before 9 months. Let's see what the old Googs tells us. ACL recovery time in NFL. That's actually probably a better one because, your boy recovered from ACL, but I'm not a professional athlete. Injury details. Recovery time. Recovery time for ACL injuries in the NFL is dependent on severity. Mahomes is considered fully timed, but it's official time because ACLs are responsible for rapid movements, especially in football. The average recovery time can be anywhere from 6 to 12 months. Well, okay. Torn ACL resurgery rehab. Okay, that told me nothing. Complete tear. Ligament torn in 2 pieces. That was mine. Partially tore it first, but that didn't know. I mean, I think 9 months is a pretty standard. Go out to a year if, recovery and rehab and everything doesn't go wrong. God forbid. And you hope that that doesn't happen. But, there's always a possibility of re-injury and things like that after working real hard to get back. You hope that doesn't happen for anybody. But the Chiefs are out of the playoffs. Again, the first time since Pat Mahomes has been there. I think they were in the playoffs a couple years before that. I had been saying this a little bit. Now, the roommate likes to give me shit because MJ and I put the Chiefs in the legitness category earlier in the year, and MJ and I will revisit that at some point here relatively soon as the regular season winds down. But I felt like you had to honor the Chiefs and what they've accomplished, and they were kind of looking like they might have been figuring some stuff out. And, to be the man, you got to beat the man, or the man's got to not be there. And so in my eyes, they were the champs till they weren't, or they were a solid, legit team until they weren't. It's over now. This is, dynasties. When dynasties end, it's rarely pretty. It kind of starts to fall apart on you. It felt like that was a little bit of what was happening to the Chiefs this year. And now look, it looked like, hey, does Pat Mahomes maybe give them a field position and they win that game? That's a darn good possibility. Gardner Minshew almost did. But even so, they were going to have to win out. They're going to need some help. I think there was even a way they could get eliminated with a win yesterday. I don't know if that was going to happen or if it wasn't, but the loss, locked it up. But dynasties get old. Travis Kelce's older. The lines get old. The secondaries get old. Everybody just gets older. It's a fact of life. And this dynasty was kind of feeling like it was at its end. Like, I don't think anyone thought at this point of the year like they could still win the Super Bowl. But say they had made the playoffs, it still felt like a team that was going to need to be retooled in the least, like at least some sort of retool, rebuild, reorganization, make some changes, probably some contracts they had to get out from under. But the Chiefs dynasty it's definitely on hold for the moment. I'm not ready to call it over. If Pat Mahomes can get back for the start of the season next year, he's still one of, if not the best quarterback in the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. Now, speaking of one of, if not the best quarterbacks in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. Wow. That looked like they were about to get run out of the building. I believe they were down yet 21-0, 24-7 going into the half. I think I heard today at one point that the Patriots only ran like 10 plays in the third quarter, and the Bills in the third quarter were like, yep, we're coming. They scored 2 touchdowns in the third, 2 more in the fourth. The Patriots are only able to put 1 score on the board in the second half, get outscored 28-7, and the Buffalo Bills are just chomping on the heels of the New England Patriots now, coming down the stretch. The Bills want to keep that run together of just winning the AFC North week or year after year after year. I think it's like 5 or 6 years now. It looked like this was the coronation of the Patriots for a minute until it wasn't. So who do the Bills play? So now the Bills and the Patriots have split, so the tiebreaker gets weird. Bills go Browns, Eagles, Jets. So there's 2 wins there for the Buffalo Bills. Eagles is a tough one. Is at home, though. It is at home, so that's a good sign for them. The Patriots close with the Ravens, Jets, Dolphins. Dolphins, who knows? Again, Jets stink. That's a common denominator. Got to chalk that up. At the Ravens, the Ravens are an interesting team right now. I don't know. I just really don't know what to make of them. They kind of, like I said, boots to ass this week. They're 7-7. They're looking to chase down the Steelers, but they just lost to the Steelers after they just lost to the Bengals. So I'm not sure what to make of what the Ravens are. We're going to find out. They play some kind of hammers coming home down the stretch. So, but the Buffalo Bills, nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. The Jacksonville Jaguars welcome the New York Jets down to Duval. Laying 13 points. Never a doubt. Just beat them senseless. Trevor Lawrence, 330, 5 touchdowns. Ran it for 51 yards and a touchdown. Have yourself a day, Trevor. Have yourself a day. Commanders beat the Giants in a whatever game. The Bears lay the absolute wood on the Browns. Shedeur Sanders, 3 interceptions. I mean, it's the Browns, but hey, the Browns beat the Packers, and it's like the Bears just laid waste to them. I'm not looking forward for the Packers going down to Chicago and having to play them. They seem like they're kind of figuring it out. The Rams and the Lions, fun game. A lot of point scoring. That game was going on as the Packers were playing, so I was looking over. I mean, talk about a QB matchup. Jared Goff, Matt Stafford, obviously traded for each other. Goff, 338, 3 touchdowns. Stafford, 368, 2 touchdowns, interception. Puka Nacua, 9 receptions for $181. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 13 for 164 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, this game was back and forth all game. The Rams actually come back from down as many as 10, go up by as many as 10 in the third quarter. I mean, it's 24-14 with 30 seconds left in the first half. With 30 seconds left in the third quarter, it's 34-24. Just complete role reversal. They get a field goal right before the end of the half, get one after, and then a couple touchdowns later. Lions fight back. They score late to kind of make it a little more respectable. I mean, it was 41-27. Oh, really? That's interesting. I didn't notice that. Lions down 14, score a touchdown with 2:42 left, and kick the extra point. Don't go for 2. Huh. Didn't catch that while the game was going on. Rams, 519 yards of total offense. Another injury concern there. Devontae Adams with a little hamstring pull aggravation, whatever you might like to call it. They're pretty I think they were pretty optimistic last I've seen about him being able to play next week. Maybe, but definitely they said by playoffs they're going to have him. So it may be a no-go for next week, but they're expecting him for the playoffs. 49ers beat up on the Titans. And then tonight we have the Dolphins and the Steelers. A couple interesting things here. Steelers undefeated on Monday Night Football. Dolphins never win in the cold. J.J. Watt not playing. Steelers never win without him. So Dolphins kind of hot. Steelers maybe not. Who knows? Interesting game. I believe the Dolphins still technically alive in the playoff picture, but under a 1% chance all odds in. And now that the Texans are up to 9-5 for that 7th spot, hard to imagine there's a way they could find their way in. But the Dolphins finding a way to be around 500. I forgot the Seahawks and the Colts. Phillip Rivers, 18-27, 120 through the air. Does throw a touchdown. Also throws one interception. The Colts were winning this game for a long, long time. Seahawks finally took the lead for the first time with 2:27 to go in the fourth quarter. Colts get the field goal to take the lead back with 47 seconds. Seahawks immediately answer. Jackson Smith and Jigba remaining a unit. 7 receptions, 113 yards. Still one of the best receivers in football. Okay, moving forward to next week, we got Thursday football. We got Rams Seahawks. Talk about a great game. 2 teams leading the NFC North. They are, what are their records here? Or sorry, NFC West. I apologize. Both at 11-3. So big Thursday night game. Big Thursday night game there. Eagles Commanders is the early game on Saturday. That was interesting that they flexed Eagles Commanders in there. And then Packers Bears Saturday night. Obviously, we know that's a big one. Packers got to find a way to get through the injuries. What are they going to do without Micah Parsons? Is Christian Watson going to play? If he doesn't, what are the rest of the receivers going to do? Just getting beat up. No Devontae Wyatt, obviously. No Micah Parsons. No Tucker Kraft. Is Quay Walker going to play? A lot of questions there. Vikings Giants. Bleh. Cowboys Chargers. I think the Cowboys still have any chance, or they're not officially eliminated, but again, they're in that under 1% part, just waiting for the final dominoes to fall apart on them there. Bengals Dolphins. Again, Dolphins could be 9-8 if they win that game next week, if they could win tonight on Monday night. Bucks Panthers, the NFC South showdown on Sunday. What's gonna happen there? Jets Saints, who can lose that game? Bills Browns, Chiefs Titans, Jags Broncos. Very, very, very interesting game. The Jags are in the hunt. They need a lot of help coming in now in the final 3 games. If they were able to win that game, that'd push them to 11-4 and the Broncos to 12-3. If the Jags could win out, Broncos go 1-2 over the final, and the Jags win this, that gives them a tiebreaker. There's still a little stretch playing for the number 1 seed there. They'd actually They'd obviously have to overtake the Patriots in there as well. Steelers, Lions, and then, Ravens, Patriots, and 49ers, Colts. So Philip Rivers gets a long week here. Gets a long week to recover. I think that covers it for the most part on the NFL here. I think we can move on. Let's talk a little about the Philadelphia Flyers, shall we? So 4 games this week. They beat the San Jose Sharks 4-1 on Tuesday. Have not won a game since. Despite that, still picked up 5 points this week. They went to OT the final 3 games. Losing overtime to the Vegas Golden Knights. A very good team they hung right with. It was kind of encouraging. And then against the Hurricanes, they go out in that game, get up 2-0. Then I believe fall behind 3-2 before getting a goal to send that one into overtime. I'll have to go back to that one here real quick. Let me just double check my memory there. Yeah, scored in the third period, 23 seconds after the Carolina Hurricanes had gotten the lead there. And then the problem is that they didn't score a goal in the shootout, and that carried forward to yesterday to Sunday, just piling on my fantastic sports viewing day. After falling down 2-0, battle back, get it into overtime. Again, do not score a goal in shootout. The shootouts had been just a sacred place. I think they'd won something like 6 or 7, maybe more in a row in shootout, and just could not put a puck in the net the last 2 days against the Hurricanes. So that was tough. But like I said, came out with 5 points still, despite going 1-3, sending every one of those to overtime. So they're just, again, still 2 points back of the Capitals for third place in the division, with 1 less game played. With 2 less games played of the Islanders, they're only 3 points back. They're ahead of the Penguins, the Devils, and the Rangers, all behind them by 1 and 2 points, with, again, less games or the same amount of games played, and still lead the wild card, this time tied in points with the Boston Bruins, but again, 2 less games. So they're still in an all right spot, sending those games to overtime, battling through, was able to keep them in a playoff position. So just gotta find some wins here coming up. This week, it's the Canadiens on Tuesday night, the Sabres on Thursday, and then the Rangers on a little early Saturday afternoon, 12:30 puck drop there, Saturday afternoon at high noon Eastern. So this will be just happening just a little after this is the first college football playoff game. So get your 2 TV screens going, Flyers and football fans, and you can check it out. Now, Canadiens and Rangers, pretty comparable teams record-wise to the Flyers. The Sabres stink, I believe. Their record says that they do, so definitely got to get that Sabres game. Got to pick off one of those Rangers-Canadiens games and put some wins in the book. On the road the whole week. Little road trip after those back-to-back home and home with the Hurricanes. Going on the road, up to Montreal, down to Buffalo, and then down to New York from there this week before coming back home next Monday against the Canucks. So gotta find a way to find some wins here. And then there's a little quick break over Christmas, a little 5-day break from next Tuesday to the following Sunday. So gotta find a little something here and right the ship just a little bit. North Carolina beat USC upstate on Saturday. I don't recall watching much, if any, of that game. They got ETSU. What's that? East Tennessee State? East Tennessee State. The East Tennessee State Buccaneers coming to Chapel Hill tomorrow, Tuesday, that is. And then on Saturday, the Heels will play Ohio State in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. That's a 2:00 kick. So 2:00 tip-off. Kick, puck drop, tip-off. I got all my sports mixed and matched here. So that it's a fun Saturday, really. A fun little Saturday. I don't know if we'll have enough time. Then ACC play kicks off on December 30th for the Heels as they host Florida State. Elsewhere in college basketball, I watched a little of this Arkansas Texas Tech game. What a game that was. Arkansas, Trevin Brazile, 24-10. That dude was jumping off the screen. Arkansas, 3 dudes scoring 20 plus points. Nobody else in double digits, though. Carter Knox, Trevin Brazile, and Darius Acuff? One of the two. That was a fun game, though. Back and forth. Look, Arkansas was, I think I flipped it on. Arkansas was maybe just barely down, and they kind of went on a little run there to end out the game. I also watched Butler when Butler was playing Providence. Double OT. What a fun game that was, too. Fun game. Nebraska got a big win over Illinois. A little ranked matchup there. I think that was the only other. Oh, Arizona beat the piss out of Alabama in the other ranked matchup of the weekend. What do we got coming forward? Ooh, Louisville, Tennessee this week. That could be fun. It could be fun. Anything else fun? Saturday, Auburn at Purdue. Purdue got the pants blown off them the other week when they were the number 1 ranked team in the country. Houston at that Arkansas team I just mentioned. Arkansas's a fun team to watch. John Calipari team, like they like to go, they like to shoot, they like to get it up. So fun stuff. All right, let's move on. Time for some passing thoughts. I didn't really have a college football segment just because I talked about it last week a little bit. So I'll just kind of run through it real quick here. Indiana, your 1 seed, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Texas Tech is your 4, Oregon 5. Those first 4 get the byes, obviously. Oregon hosts JMU. Game of the first weekend is either Oklahoma, Alabama on Friday night at 8 o'clock or Saturday at noon, Texas A&M, Miami, and then the last game, Ole Miss at Tulane. I'm not super excited about this first weekend because I think 2 of the games are duds. I think Ole Miss and Oregon are probably handling JMU and Tulane. All respect to those teams. It's just, I think we're playing at different levels. Maybe I'm wrong. They play the games for a reason. We're going to find out. But I think the New Year's Day games are going to be a lot more interesting. You know, you could get Oregon, Texas Tech, Alabama or Oklahoma and IU, Ole Miss, Georgia, then Texas A&M or Miami and Ohio State. I think those are a more intriguing set of games. The New Year's Day, and I think there's one on New Year's Eve. Yeah, Cotton Bowl on New Year's Eve. So we'll see how it all breaks down. But I like I said, I should mention it probably, but I don't have any analytical breakdown or thoughts on what's going to happen. I don't follow college football that way. So just there you go. That's what you get. I will say this last thing. The Notre Dame AD, Pete Bavacqua, going around and making the media tour and whining and crying that Notre Dame didn't get in over Miami. And I think you can have thoughts that, hey, maybe they're playing better ball now, but if you put them up side by side and it came down to them, and why did Miami go from all of a sudden ranked behind Notre Dame all the time to all of a sudden now we're ahead of them when nobody played a game? A lot of questions there. But the fact of the matter is Miami beat Notre Dame. And Notre Dame complaining that the ACC was kind of lobbying for Miami. It's like, yeah, they're an actual member of the conference in football. They signed up. They're not just holding out. And then there's this news that Notre Dame, if they're ranked in the top 12, that no matter what, they'll be in. Kind of essentially treating them like a one-man conference, a one-team conference, whereas right now it's top 5 conferences find themselves in the playoffs, and the idea behind that was the Big 4 conferences and then one Group of 5 conference. Well, it turns out when the ACC gets pummeled and the wrong team loses, that they're not a higher ranked conference champion than 2 Group of 5 teams. So I think there's questions about all that, but like my Notre Dame being like, hey, we should be in, and we're going to kind of rig the system. And now there's a lot of coming out that like other ADs are like, we're not playing you then. So it's just an interesting thing that Notre Dame's going around going, oh, woe was me. It's like, you've rigged everything else for you. Like, I have a hard time like jumping on like we should feel bad for you bandwagon. So just didn't think that was a good look. John Cena. Got to go there. John Cena wrestled his final match. He claims it's his final match. He's done. He laid the shoes and the armbands down in the center of the ring after he tapped out to Gunther. Never give up, John Cena gave up. Now, I was always under the impression John Cena was going to lose. Seems like a guy who loves the wrestling business, and the way you go out in the wrestling business is you lose. You lose your last match. That's typically how it's done. There's some exceptions to that, don't get me wrong. But two of the greatest ever who had retirement matches lost them on the way out. Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. And they lost them in ways that were perfect. Flair still trying to fight. Come on. Michaels gives him the "I'm sorry, I love you," and super kicks him. Shawn Michaels, just a couple years later at WrestleMania, comes up the Undertaker, crawling up him, can barely stand, does the cutthroat. Undertaker hits him with the big jumping tombstone. Defiant till the end. Just something like that. John Cena tapping out just felt so wrong. I knew he was going to lose. I was okay with him losing. It's the way it's supposed to be. Was I rooting for him to win? Absolutely. In the back of my head, I knew he was losing, though. And it's okay. I'm fine with that. And Cena seems to be fine with tapping out. He had a big old grin on his face when he was in that chokehold at the end, and gave the crowd. The crowd did not like it. Also, why was John Cena going out on a Saturday night's main event, some random day in December? His last match should have been at WrestleMania. 100% should have been at WrestleMania. But things are the way they are. I'm not totally sold he's done. I'm like 98% sure he's done. There's just a part of me. It's wrestling. Never say never. But he did the whole song and dance. I mean, he was going around, this is it. We're counting down the dates, doing the whole thing. I just didn't love the tap out. Just have him fall asleep. Mr. Never Give Up can't tap out. He's hasn't tapped out in 20 some years. The roommate told me, though, she goes, it was poetic. It was poetic. It was him signaling the end. I guess we'll just go with that. This was from last Monday on Monday Night Football when the Chargers won. There was this big thing, and it's completely gone now. This is kind of the funny thing about doing a once a week podcast, and that I do it after Monday Night Football. Unless something really memorable happens, the world has so moved on by the time I record again, as I record on Monday night, as Monday Night Football is about to kick off here tonight, that the world has so moved on that this isn't a thing anymore. But on Tuesday, this was a big thing, was that Justin Herbert blew off Laura Rutledge for a post-game interview. And at first, when I saw people talking about it, and I saw some tweets oh, I can't believe Justin Herbert. Could you imagine if this was insert this quarterback, that quarterback? The typical shit. I was like, man, he must have been a real prick. He kind of just buzzed past her, and I was like, oh, then stopped and did the interview, and wasn't short or shitty, gave legit answers. It was just so weird that that's what we decided to do. It's hey, I fill up 45 minutes to, my longest episodes are an hour and a half, hour 45 once a week. It's some of these people who fill up 2, 3, 8, 4 hours a week in programming, not to mention an entire network that has to fill, 15, 16 hours a day, especially on days where there's no actual sporting event being played. It's just funny what they choose to have conversations about. It's I think you'd be oh, that was weird. Maybe just, I don't know. All right, whatever. But it was a topic. It was so weird. It's just we decide to focus on the weirdest things. Speaking of weird things, Michigan football fires Sherrone Moore. There are stories about a whole lot of stuff, but basically what it comes down to is he has an affair with somebody, I don't know if directly on his staff, but I think directly on his staff. I don't know what exactly she does. She gets this massive pay raise from one year to the next. She goes from making 58, 56, 57, 58 to 98, close to $40,000. There's allegations that she got pregnant, maybe had an abortion, that they were brought in and investigated about this affair allegedly, maybe, perhaps they told the administration no, it wasn't happening. Again, a story goes, maybe he goes and breaks it off with her. And then she goes back and she's like, oh, yeah, it was all happening, burns it down. Then you get into the conspiracies. It's like, oh, they were just waiting to see if he beat Ohio State. If he beats Ohio State, they somehow make the playoffs. This is just all going to go away. But then he loses to Ohio State, and now it's an issue. Honey, do you need to come through to get the box you gave to Boomer? Boomer's running around here with a cardboard box that the roommate's trying to get back from him. So it's like, yeah, now he loses to Ohio State. It's an issue. And then the weirdness doesn't stop there. He goes on to go to her house, apparently, threatens to either kill himself and or her. There's reports of maybe it was with a butter knife was what he had in his hands. He ends up getting arrested. Really weird scenes when he gets arrested and booked. And he's got the thing with the judge where he's laying down in like this weird room. It was one of the weirder scenarios I've seen. And then Michigan's coach going forward is going to be a gentleman by the name of Biff Poggi or Poggi. Just do yourself a favor and look that guy up. He looks exactly like Biff Poggi should look. Oh, it's to spin back to the Cena stuff too. I forgot about this. The crowd was pissed when Triple H came out. It was awesome. It was hilarious. And Cena and Triple H had the big laugh, but the crowd was booing the shit out of him, booing Triple H during the video. It was fantastic. So I forgot to mention that. And then I'll just end on this. I saw a video, we're everyone's getting older now. I talked about with the Chiefs dynasty. I'm getting older. You're getting older. It's an inevitable fact of life. I saw a video of like a pop punk band like playing in today, and I don't even remember who it was, but I just laughed. Just like, hey, they're still doing it. They're still dressing the way they always did, doing up crazy hair, like all that stuff. It's like, it's just so funny to me to see, 40, 50-year-olds doing stuff that you just so much associated with what a 25-year-old did in 2003. And they're just like, hey, this is who they are. And they're just rocking it. But it just made me laugh so much. It's like, time's undefeated. It makes fools of all of us. Just always does. All right, let's go wrap this thing up, shall we? Closing time, everybody. As always, just want to say thank you to everyone. Appreciate the support, appreciate the watches, appreciate the listens. Thank you to producer Kevy for helping us get started on video. Don't forget to check out my guy MJ over on the 4-Range Pod on Spotify or on the Ole Walls House YouTube channel. You can also find his merch and my merch, such as this wonderful hat, in the link in the show notes. We're back next week. We're going to break down Packers Bears. Hopefully. I'm hoping that's good. More NFL, more college football. Will we have playoffs by next week? Yeah, we'll have playoffs. Playoffs is this Friday and Saturday, so we'll have that. A lot of good stuff to talk about. So, till then, peace.